Welcome back, y'all. This is the Bluechip Breakdown, and I'm your host, Bull. Tomorrow, for the big game, the third Saturday in October, we're going to have several very big visitors coming up. So, this will actually end up being the biggest visit weekend for Tennessee the entire season. We're going to kind of talk about some of the key players, and of course, I'm going to show you everyone that is expected to be coming up on campus. Please make sure to like and subscribe. All right, so we're going to be starting off with the committed players that will be up on campus. This is going to be for 2025 and 2026. There's going to be 23 of these players, several really big names. Okay, we have to make sure that we can keep everybody with us just because we already know, man, we got some studs here, and other teams are going to be trying to poach them away from our program. But we will also be having 3 official visitors. We're just going to talk about 2 right here, right now, because there's only 2 that are actually committed. So, number 1, I want to talk about Darian Smith. He is a 3-star defensive lineman. He's from Baltimore, Maryland. He plays at St. Francis, and he has a big-time teammate in the 2026 class that Tennessee's trying to bring on home as well. But this is going to be big because, man, look, Tennessee needs to get as many defensive tackle bodies as possible, and he has kind of been flirting around with some other schools. So I believe he was up on campus last weekend. Don't quote me on that, but it's going to be huge for us, throughout the entire weekend to have that extra time to talk to him about the NIL stuff and just kind of show him how he fits into this program. And it'll be a much better weekend for really all of our players that's coming up, but especially the ones coming on the OVs that get the entire weekend if we can win. And this is one of those rare instances. It's because if we win, then the atmosphere in Knoxville, whenever these guys go out, is going to be so much better. So it is going to be very big that, Tennessee comes out and has a very big showing and that we can hold on to Darian Smith. The next player is going to be Jaden Harmon. He is a 4-star linebacker from Rome, Georgia. And he's kind of, going back and forth between us and Bama. It's still really down between us and Alabama. So he kind of, he started off as a Tennessee lean, and then he goes on to commit to Alabama, and he flips to us, then he visits Alabama. So he was up on campus last weekend versus Florida, but this weekend on his OV, same thing that we said about Darian. If we can really impress him, if we can, make sure that all the numbers are right, make sure that he feels comfortable with his major, how he fits into our scheme and system and all that good stuff, that'll be huge because we definitely need to get some more linebackers really moving forward for both of these classes, 2025 and 2026. And we've talked about this before that I had personally just kind of felt like Tennessee needed to go out and try to add another 2 linebackers, and it sounds like that's what Tennessee is trying to do. So the next player that we will be talking about is not committed just yet, but there was a phone bomb that dropped like a couple of days ago that was saying that Isaiah Campbell would end up committing to our Volunteers. Now, he's a 4-star defensive lineman. I think that he could play inside or outside. We love that versatility. He's big, he's long, he's fast, very twitchy. So he's a guy that can stop the run. He can get after that passer, but he was committed to Clemson. Tennessee's been on him for a very long time. He finally decommitted from Clemson, and now it kind of feels like, things are heating up between us and Isaiah Campbell. So with this OV, man, hopefully, maybe we can come out of this with maybe a little bit more of an idea that he is going to be coming on home to Tennessee, but it sounds like he might not be making his final decision for the next month or so. But that'll be a very, very big one. And outside of that, like we had just touched on, Tennessee is still targeting more linebackers for this class. Number 1, Luke Metz, who's currently committed to Alabama. Not quite sure how things are going to go there, but maybe, man, if he comes up, if he loves Knoxville, if things go well, maybe he'll start to reconsider. We need to add more depth at that position. We're seeing that this year. Once Keenan Pili goes down, Edwin Spillman, he's been out for several weeks. That room is starting to get thin. Playing in this league, you need a lot of guys that can go, that can rotate in and play at a really high level. So I love just the simple fact that the staff is going out and targeting more players. But for me, he would probably be number 1. Now the next one's going to be Austin Howard, currently committed to Mississippi State. He is an in-state guy, so we'll see how things go there. Next is going to be Brandon Ains, who's currently committed to Wisconsin. Now, I think that Tennessee's got a better chance to land the, latter 2 that we just talked about, outside of the first one, who I think might be maybe the better player out of these 3 either way. Tennessee, again, needs to make sure we can go out and land at least one of these guys. I think, 3, maybe even 4 linebackers in this class would make the most sense. And then we have to be heavy again in the 2026 class and just keep on stacking up that depth. But so far, it just feels like things are trending the right way for our Vols in 2025. Now let's take a look at our expected visitors for the 2026 class. As y'all can see, there's a lot of names, which is why this is full screen. It's about 57, 58 of them. I'm not going to touch on everybody, but I will just kind of hit some of the highlights. So number 1, 5-star tight end Kendra Harrison will not be able to make it. Unfortunately, he had a death in his family. So thoughts and prayers out to him. and his family. We are expecting that he will be able to come up at some point later on in the season, but he's been high on Tennessee. He's a dual sport guy, football, basketball, 6'7", very explosive. He's shattering backboards and all that good stuff. But, Coach Barnes has also kind of reached out to him. I don't know how realistic it's going to be that he can play both of these sports in college. It's going to be very tough to do these days, but he's a guy that I think is actually good enough to do it. So we'll watch out and see how things kind of unfold with him. Outside of that, man, let's talk about defense for just a second. Four-star linebacker Ja'Cory Smith from Arkansas is going to hopefully be visiting Tennessee for his 5th time. That will be more than he's visited any other school in this country. He's a stud, okay? Everybody wants him because he's a prototype linebacker for this day and age of football. Sideline to sideline, he can play out in space. He can play inside of that box. Everything the coach ends wants, he can run fast, he can hit hard. So he's a player that, I'm really hoping that Tennessee gets him. He's one of my favorites in this class. We need that. We've talked about it, man. We need more depth at that position. We need more athleticism at that position. And once we get there where we're 2 or 3 deep and we're not too concerned if a player goes down for, X amount of games, then Tennessee is going to be absolutely incredible on both sides, I think, but especially on defense. We're already seeing how the defense is operating at this point. Now, let's talk about a couple of cornerbacks. Samurai Matthews, 4-star. Zion Gibson, 4-star. They will be in town, and they love Tennessee. They're very high on Tennessee. Several fans and people are just asking, hey, when is Tennessee gonna go out there and get some more of these blue chip caliber secondary players? Well, if you look at this list, we're targeting several of them, whether that's safeties, which I actually think is probably going to be more important, but also cornerbacks. So that's 2 right there for you that it feels like it's trending towards our Tennessee Volunteers. Now, let's talk about edge rushers because we talked a whole lot about that James Pierce effect. These guys want to come up and get coached by Coach Garner and by Coach Chop. And that just makes the most sense because I think that they're the best in the business, and our defensive front is showing that. So we've got Tyson Bacon, who's very good, very high on Tennessee. We've also got Tristan Givens and Rodney Dunham. All 3 of those guys love them some Tennessee. I would say that we're probably like in their top 3 or something like that, but things are still early. I feel like Tennessee's off to a great start with edge rushers. Now let's talk about a defensive tackle, okay? Right here, 4-star Keyshawn Stencil. He's very high on Tennessee as well. And Coach Chop has been instrumental with pretty much all these guys up front, but this is one that keep on reading almost everywhere. The man, look, he loves him some Coach Chop. So we need to make sure that we can keep Coach Chop up in Knoxville, and I'm sure that that is a priority for Coach Heupel. Now let's talk about the offensive side of the football. 4-star offensive tackle Brandon Anderson is also going to be in town, and he's very high on Tennessee as well. Then we've also got 4-star wide receiver Tristan Keys, who's going to be in town, and he loves Faison Brandon. He loves Tennessee, very close with Coach Pope. So, all those names that we just kind of routed off are players that I feel like we should keep a very close eye on to hopefully at some point, maybe not, right now, but at some point throughout this process, end up choosing Tennessee. Now, I'll tell you about one more player. This is some inside info, okay? If you come all the way down to the bottom right where you see Tyreek Green, we call him Ty Boogie. He's listed as an athlete. He can play running back at a very high level. He can also play safety at a very high level. So he's got good size and all that type of stuff. 4-star guy, plays at Buford High School. I know that he really likes Tennessee. There's a couple of other programs that he does like, but this visit could go a very long way. He's coming up with Justin Baker, one of his other teammates right here, Nas McCoy. And hopefully, man, we can make some, we can make some progress with those 2 players that are uncommitted in the 2026 class. And last but not least, we're going to be talking about our visitors from the 2027 and 2028 classes. There's only 7 of these players right here. Obviously, man, these guys are going to be blue chip because we're targeting them at a very, very young age. And actually, if you're looking at the guys in 27, a lot of them already have 4 stars. They're probably going to end up being 5 stars. So bringing them up early is going to be huge for us. You're seeing what we're targeting, right? Several players on defense, especially in that secondary. This staff gets it, man. Like, we've got to upgrade in certain areas, even though I think, well, like what we have right now, those players are doing a great job. But you got to keep on building up depth, baby. And I think that Tennessee's doing a really good job of that. So that's it for this video. We got somewhere around like 90 players that are expected to be coming up on campus. So huge visit weekend. Please let me know your thoughts down in the comments section. If you have anything to add, if you know some players that we kind of like left off, please add that here. That will be awesome. And always make sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, share with your friends, family, and other volunteer fans. And we'll see y'all on the next one. Thanks. Peace.